Hello guys, welcome to an academy. So this is the daily analysis of the Hindu for the new month of February. So today is 1st of February 2017 and this video series will be presented to you by me, Dipanshu Singh. So you can read more about me on this slide. I've been an educator with an academy from past 4 months. And apart from that, if you wish to read more, you can go through this slide and you can also follow me on Academy to get updates on my courses and on videos. So the practice question for today is the National Crisis Management Committee is chaired by which of the following? So post in answers below, and yesterday's answer is C Sparsh, which means touch campaign against the anti-leprosy day. So the first page news is the front page news that the Supreme Court has refused to stay Tamil Nadu's new Jallikattu law. So the Jallikattu law basically was an ordinance which was passed by the Tamil Nadu state government, which has been approved and got the assent of the President of India. So a few hours after the President gave his assent to the Tamil Nadu amendments in the Prevention of Cruelty Act of 1960 to allow Jallikattu, the Supreme Court has refused to stay the new state law based on a number of petitions filed by different organizations. So basically it was filed by the NGO Compassion Unlimited Plus Action for an interim stay on the operation of the Prevention to Cruelty Towards Animals Act 2017. So the Supreme Court said that the new law is for the preservation of variety of bulls, and they call it Jallikattu, which is related to their culture. So therefore, it cannot be stayed, and it is inherently linked with the culture of Tamil Nadu people. And Attorney General Mukul Rohtgi told the Supreme Court, who was appearing on behalf of the state government, that Jallikattu was a matter of culture, and that citizens had the right to take measures to conserve their culture. But then the Supreme Court observed that the conservation of culture should not involve inflicting unnecessary pain or sufferings to animals. This was noted by Justice Mishra of the Supreme Court, and he responded to Mr. Rohtgi and then referred to Section 11, Subclause 3, Subclause E of the Section of the 1960 Act, which permits slaughtering of animal food for food. But then slaughtering of food, comes within the purview of doctrine of necessity. But then inflicting pain on animals is not, does not come under the doctrine of necessity. There is no requirement or unnecessary, for causing unnecessary pain and suffering to the animal. So that the state government and the others supporting Jallikattu in the current litigation have been given 4 weeks to file their counter affidavits on this judgment. Now, the next news is regarding the Chief Economic Advisor has tabled the economic survey for this year, and he said that the note ban was a radical measure. So he termed the move to cancel the legal tender nature of high value currency notes a radical currency cum governance cum social engineering measure to permanently and punitively raise the cost of illicit and unaccounted transactions, or the Kala Dhan. So basically, in all, it sums up that this measure was aimed at reducing the black money in the economy. And the economic survey basically pegs the economic growth in 2016-17 at 7.1%, but this is based mainly on the information for months before the November 8 demonetization of rupees 500,000 notes. So the data post demonetization is not available, and this half a percentage point lower than 7.6% growth last year. But then the Chief Economic Advisor warned that the comparison attributing the difference in growth numbers to demonetization alone would be foolhardy, and it's not concrete. And economic survey also makes case of demonetization with fast and demand-driven remonetization, tax reforms, and GST and lower tax slabs. So as we record this video, the Finance Minister of India is presenting the annual budget in the Parliament today. Now, yesterday, Donald Trump, going as per his plan of reducing immigrants in the country. So, is the White House is working on a plan of reducing the H-1B visa, and they have actually hiked they're planning to hike the minimum amount, the minimum wages under the H-1B visa. So, the White House has said that it is working on changes in the H-1B visa and other guest worker visa programs through legislative and executive actions as part of the Donald President Trump's immigration reform. Even a bill was introduced by a Democratic lawmaker proposing new restrictions on H-1B visas yesterday. So the leaked draft of an executive order under the consideration proposes restrictions on the optional practical training work, which is a job training opportunity available for science, technology, engineering, and maths and masters students from a US university. So a lot of Asian students, specifically Chinese and Indian students, use this optional practical training work. So Indian students may now have to either secure jobs much before they travel to study in the US or look for other immigration-friendly countries like Australia, Canada, and New Zealand if this law is passed and becomes, if this act becomes a law. And then the OPT is used in multiple ways. So firstly, some students who have no job offers when they graduate rely on this method to help them sustain in the US. Secondly, for those who have a job offer but have to wait till the time the company officially sponsors an H1B visa, the OPT comes in handy there. And thirdly and lastly, it is used by the explorers who want to do research, or those who float around to explore other options for job-related works in other countries. So this will definitely affect the Indian students and the Indian IT professional who are planning to go to US for work-related or studies-related issue. Now, researchers have employed laser light to speed up the electronics. So, a researcher from India has taken the first definitive step to produce high-speed electronic devices that can actually operate on 1 million times faster than the modern electronics. So Manish Garg and other researchers working with him used the laser light to basically generate very high-frequency electric current inside a solid material. So the electrons were found to be moving at a speed close to 1 million billion hertz. This is the best achievable speed in modern transistor, which only has 109 billion hertz. So this the results of this were published in Nature. But if you look at it conventionally, the motion of electrons, which is a part of conductivity, is achieved by applying voltage. But then when the lasers are applied, they control the motion of electrons inside the solid material by using these laser pulses. And if you look at the light waves are electronic waves in nature and have very high oscillation frequencies of electric and magnetic fields. So this ultra high frequency of light waves can be used to drive and control electron motion in semiconductors. And if they are driven by such light waves, so the electronic devices will be inherently faster than the current state of electronics. And when the researchers used the high intensity light laser to shine on the silicon dioxide and silicon dioxide nanofilms, basically electrons were generated, and when the electrons move in the presence of electronic field of the laser, it generates a current. As a nanofilm, silicon dioxide becomes nearly transparent to laser and absorbs less heat and therefore gets less damage. So if you directly apply silicon dioxide, there's a chance of getting getting damaged. But then when used as a nanofilm, it becomes really transparent to laser and absorbs less heat, therefore conducts faster and therefore gets less damaged. Now, international use. So this is important from geography's point of view as well. So Bangladesh is will push ahead with a controversial plan to relocate tens of thousands of Rohingya refugees from Myanmar to a remote island, despite warnings that it is uninhabitable and prone to flooding. So the Bangladesh government has set up a committee regarding the same, and they are planning to shift these refugees from Myanmar to the Thengar island in the Bay of Bengal. So if you look at the background of this news, the Rohingya people are one of the most persecuted ethnic community, Muslim minority group in the world, they have been residing in the Rakhine state, formerly known as Arakan, in the Myanmar, and the people are considered as stateless entities, as the Myanmar government has been refusing to recognize them as one of the ethnic groups of the country. And for this reason, the Rohingya people lack the legal protection from the government of Myanmar and are regarded as mere refugees from Bangladesh and face strong hostility in the country, often described as one of the most persecuted people of the earth. And to escape the dire situation, the Rohingyas try to legally enter East Asian nations, generally through boats, and some of them actually get drowned while attempting this, and begging for humanitarian support for potential host countries. There was a recent news regarding this as well, when Indonesia and other Southeast nation actually stopped these illegal boats from entering their territory, from preventing illegal immigration. And most of those who fled to Bangladesh live in a squalid condition, in poor and pathetic condition, in refugee camps in Cox's Bazar district, which borders the Rakhine state and is home to country's biggest tourist resort. And Thengar, if you look at this island, is engulfed by several feet of water at high tide and has no roads or flood defenses. And it was formed about a decade ago by the sedimentation from the river Meghna and does not appear in most of the maps. The low-lying land is actually around 30 kilometers east of Hatia Island, which has a population of approximately 6 lakh people. So if you look, so this eventually becomes very important from maps point of view. So this is the Hatia Island, which is under the control of Bangladesh, and this is Cox's Bazar, and this area is very close to the Myanmar border of Rakhine state. So they are planning to shift these people from Cox's Bazar to this Thengar Island, which is very near to this Hatia Island. So it is very prone to flooding, and because of the Meghna river shifting course and flooding during monsoon times. And this is the Bay of Bengal. So this nearby geography becomes very important. So the next page news is business page news. And the 8 core industries have grown by 5.6% in December. So the 8 core industries registered growth of 5.6% on the back of healthy output recorded by refinery products and steel. And the growth of 8 infrastructure sectors, coal, crude oil, refinery products, fertilizer, cement, and electricity was 2.9% in December. So therefore, the core sectors, which actually contributes 38% to the total industrial production, this line is important. Please note this line. It's expanded in 5% in April and December 2016 compared with the 2.6% growth during the same period. However, there was decline in crude oil, fertilizer, natural gas and cement output during this period. Now, some economic survey related news, even though we'll be covering it separately, a detailed analysis of economic survey, but then some important news, some highlights from economic survey. So the economic survey called for a need to set up a government-owned asset reconstruction company. This we covered in yesterday's newspaper as well. There was a deliberation during the bank's Gyan Sangam meeting of public sector asset rehabilitation company, which will be an attempt to resolve India's twin balance sheet problem over leveraged companies and the rising bad loans in public sector banks. And India's NPA ratio, if you look at its current level of 9.1% of the gross loan, is higher than any other major emerging market, with the exception of Russia, obviously because of economic sanctions. Their economy has plummeted. And there was suggestion regarding the FRBM operating framework, which was designed in 2003, needs to be modified to reflect the India of today and even more importantly, the India of tomorrow. And this is significant in the backdrop of the NK Singh panel, which submitted its report regarding FRBM revision on revising the FRBM Act to Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. And the fiscal deficit target for this year, as per survey by the government, is 3.5% of the GDP, and they had achieved the target of 3.9%, which was set for 2015 and 2016. Now, Chief Economic Advisor has actually questioned the rating agency's conduct, specifically Standard & Poor's, which is a global rating agency. And a section of Economic Survey's first chapter is dealing exclusively with the rating agency's flawed outlook towards India. According to the Chief Economic Advisor, since 2008, China had fared poorly on two key risk indicators, that is, growth and credit growth, and therefore its GDP growth is slowing down, and dramatically its credit to GDP ratio was rising sharply. But then India has actually moved exactly opposite to this direction. Still, these rating agencies upgraded China and did not, despite all these risky developments, whereas for India the rating was maintained 6 notches below China. So the rating for China is AA minus, and it is triple B for India. So the Chief Economic Advisor has raised some serious concern on the methodologies employed by these rating agencies, which definitely affects the investment sentiment in India. And the Chief CSO office has revised the 2015-16 GDP growth to 7.9%. So the government's Chief Statistics Office has marginally revised the GDP growth rate for 2015-16 to 7.9%, which was earlier estimated to be of 7.6% after factoring in the latest data on agriculture and industrial production. If you look at last year, the CSO had estimated GDP growth rate at 2015-16 and 2014-15 at 7.6 and 7.2% respectively. So as per the revised numbers of the CSO, growth in real gross value added has been higher than that of 24-15, mainly due to stronger growth in agriculture, forestry and fishing, manufacturing and trade, repair and services and other sector. So this line is important, why there has been a revision because of a strong growth in these sectors. So this is it for today's video, guys. Please rate and review the course and let me know if you have any suggestions. So till next video, hope you have a good day. Thank you so much.